Welcome to the Michigan Golfer Show with your host, Bill Shelton. Join us each week as we explore the people, the places, and the events that shape our great game.
Welcome to this edition of the Michigan Golfer. Today, our show focuses on two legends in the world of golf. One is an individual, Arthur Hills from Arthur Hills and Steve Forrest and Associates. The other is a historic golf course built in 1903, the Inverness Club in Toledo, Ohio. The combination of these two legends of golf come together in preparation for the 2003 U.S. Senior Open. Arthur, welcome to the Michigan Golfer.
Thank you, Bill.
I know as you looked at this project beginning in 1999, working with the USGA and with the club, they said we need to prepare this course. Why was there the belief that maybe some changes needed to be made in preparation for the 2003 tournament?
Bill, it was a combination of things. First, it was to make the golf course so it would be a challenge to the senior golfers. I mean, these guys are just about as good as the guys on the regular tour. They hit it a long way with the new equipment. So we had to get ready for that. And secondly, there were some physical things within the golf course that needed to be addressed. As far as those things, it included building some new tees to lengthen the golf course from about 69.50 to 72.50 eventually. That's where we ended up. We rebuilt all the tees. And then before we did anything else on the golf course, we built an infrastructure drainage system to drain fairways and could then be tied into the bunkers and other work that was done. That was done, I think it was in the fall of '99, and then in 2000 we went in and rebuilt all the bunkers, attached drainage from all of those bunkers to this main system, regrassed all the greens with a new grass called A4, which tolerates very close cutting, and you can get the speeds of those greens up. Well, you can get them as fast as you want. You can get them up to 12, which they were just recently for a mid-senior amateur tournament, and it just drove those guys crazy. Also, the USGA suggested that we deepen some of the bunkers around the course. Tom Meeks, who is kind of in charge of course setups with the USGA, suggested this, and we did do that. And it made a big improvement to the golf course visually, and also the shot values were enhanced. In addition to that, we wanted to create more space for gallery movement and grandstands around greens. That process entailed removing altogether about 800 trees from the golf course, and as you can imagine, the members were reluctant
Yes.
to get into doing that at first, but now that it's all been done, I would defy anybody even to say what tree was taken out, that kind of thing.
You know, when you look at this, Arthur, and you're coming in and you have renovated over 100 golf courses, many of them that are sites of tournaments, the major tournaments that are being played both in the amateur and the professional level. You're asked to come in here. Here's our Donald Ross course, built in 1903. There have been some modifications made in the past. But what is your challenge as an architect to somehow preserve the Donald Ross intent, and yet at the same time, how do you balance those two issues?
Well, that is the challenge, is to make these renovations and not alter the character of the golf course. And we did just that. We didn't alter the character of the course whatsoever. We did lengthen it, but that's proportionate to the way players are playing the game. The main tees are still in the same place. The member tees are still where they were, so that doesn't change within the golf course. The character of the greens surfaces were not touched. The bunkers around the greens, except for deepening, were not moved or changed in any way.
Well, this is, and many of us who are amateurs that just enjoy the game and don't understand probably the technical side of the game, how does a course like Inverness or an Oakland Hills or some of the others that you've worked with, what makes them have the greatness that tournaments want to be there time after time? Because this club has certainly hosted many tournaments. What's the difference in a course that is at this level and the thousands of other courses that are out there?
Well, first, as you suggest, Inverness does have a history. I mean, it had an open in 1920, and it had another open in 1931. and it had another Open in '57, and it had a PGA, I think it was in '79. So it's had those 4 majors, plus it had a U.S. Amateur Championship there. And now with the Senior Open, this is the 6th major championship there. So you start out with a lot of history. But also the golf course has pretty good resistance to scoring. The greens are real small. I mean, the average green size there is 3,300 square feet. In contrast to that, probably average golf course greens are 5,500 square feet. So they have resistance to scoring. There's some memorability to the golf course. The 18th hole, for example, is 350 yards, not a long hole. But Bob Tway knocked in a shot from the bunker, you know, in the PGA Championship, that kind of thing. So that there's a lot of memorability. The course is just immaculate in terms of conditioning. It's just absolutely perfect from tee to green. There's not a white circle where you've got to drop out of over that entire 160 some acres.
You mentioned earlier when you were thinking of all the considerations, something that we don't ever think about, and that is that how to handle the crowds for a major tournament. From a design standpoint, I suppose that you would look at that as a necessary evil, and you'd prefer not to adjust the golf course to handle the crowds of these tournaments. But that's an issue you have to consider about the crowds and where the people are going to stand, right?
It is, and that relates probably more than anything else to where conifers are planted, spruces and pines, that kind of tree, and making sure that there are not too many of them that bulk up the areas between the fairways, so that people can move in and out and around the tees and around the greens. Inverness has accommodated big crowds for tournaments in the past, and it's in great shape to do that today.
Many of these pros that are playing in the 2003 U.S. Open, or Senior Open, played in other Opens on that particular golf course. When they show up this summer to play in that, what are they going to see different? Are they going to say, yeah, this is really what I remember? Or are they going to say, whoa, this is a different golf course?
You know, Craig Stadler won the U.S. Amateur there 30 years ago, and this is his first U.S. Senior Open. He's not going to see much different. It's going to appear to be the same golf course to him. And they're going to play the Senior Open at about 6,950, which is about where they played prior U.S. Opens and the amateur in the past. The trees are bigger, more mature, but he's not going to see anything much different.
The last question I really like to ask on this one, it's kind of a tough question. Sometimes I hear that a golf course is really a battle between the designer and the players to see who's going to win. When the 2003 Senior Open is over, do you want to say, wow, there were some great low scores, or do you want to say, wow, this was a tough test of golf? From a designer standpoint, what do you think they walk away at the end of that tournament saying?
I think that what we want is that the cars have resistance to scoring. We want it to be a course where the best players are there at the end of the tournament, that the golf course is really challenging, but that it's entirely fair. That they're not going to say that course was tricked up. I mean, there's no problem of creating it so they can't break 285. I mean, we could just grow up the rough to 6 inches, and that'll probably do it in itself. But I really anticipate that the score for this tournament is going to be somewhere between 276 and 280, which is a little bit under par.
You heard it on the Michigan Golfer, the prediction from the person who's renovated this golf course that's going to be the host of the U.S. Senior Open in 2003. Arthur Hills, thanks for being here. Thanks for sharing a little bit about the process in renovating the Inverness Club.
Thank you, Bill.
And thank you for watching the Michigan Golfer.